is up, everybody? Good to see you today. All kinds of stuff to talk about. Right now, I am confirming that I'm human. We have a Discord. I want to thank Glock for getting that set up for us. So as we figure out how that works, or at least I figure out how it works, I think everybody else except me knows how it works. But yeah, so that's something that people have wanted for a long time. So we do have a Discord now. Okay, in other news, we talked about it yesterday a little bit. But Ford and Toyota, according to Bob Bacchus, are going to have new bodies for next season. Cole Custer is going to come back and race for Stewart-Haas Racing in the Xfinity Series next year. So after he wins the championship this year, he will come back next year and defend it. I don't know if he's going to win the championship, but he is my pick. Parker Retzlaff and Jeb Burton, or it's really just Jeb because it's John Edward Burton. So it would really be John Edward Burton if you call him Jeb Burton. I've always thought that was weird. But anyway, they are going to continue racing for Jordan Anderson Racing. They will be back next season. Grant Enfinger also says he's got plans for next season, but he is not allowed to reveal them yet. So all the Grant Enfinger fans, fear not. He will be racing something next season. We just don't know what. The Star Wars cars, of course, I don't think I even talked about them yet, but the Star Wars cars, that is the poll question, by the way. Which Star Wars car do you think looks better? I don't like Star Wars, so neither the 45, the 23, or I like them equally. Those are the options. Right now, 35% saying I don't like Star Wars, so neither. So 35% winning the battle right now. Kevin Harvick's final car has been released, and it just says Harvick on it. Sort of like the old school video games. If you ever played those, when they took the adult beverage sponsors off of cars and they just put the driver's name, that is sort of what Kevin Harvick's final car looks like. And it has been sort of, that's actually going to be the next poll question. I'll go ahead and spoil that. Do you like that as Kevin Harvick's final car, or do you think he should have gone with something different? A lot of people feel like he should have gone with something different. Some people like this car. So it's going to be interesting to see how that poll goes out. Noah Gragson has released a social media video commercial for Bass Pro Shops, leading a lot of people to think that Bass Pro Shops will be on that number 10 car next year. So all the speculation as to who will be sponsoring that 10 car, a lot of people are leaning toward that it will be Bass Pro Shops number 10. Bass Pro Shops, of course, returning to Stewart-Haas Racing. Stewart, let's see. It's Tex Powell. So Tex Powell, famous, I think, engine builder for the Petties. He passed away a day or two ago, and I didn't get a chance to get to that. I'm going to make a whole video about all this stuff as well. But he was a little bit before my time, so I'm not super familiar with him. But NASCAR man, actually, I've got the let me read out what all Tex did before I jump into the comments here, because he was a little bit before my time, but he had a great career, honestly. Where did I put that at? Let's see. Okay, so here we go. This is from NASCAR Man on Twitter. Rest in peace, Tex Powell, a great figure in the NASCAR garage for decades. Tex worked for the Petties in the 70s. He built the Camaro that Terry Labonte won the GTO class in the 1984 Rolex 24. He was A.J. Foyt's crew chief in the 80s and 90s. Tex was Herschel McGriff's son-in-law. So there you go. Huge career, spanned over several decades, and a very successful figure in motorsports. So unfortunately, we lost old Tex there. And, of course, as you saw from the picture, we got the Fiat. So getting all the paperwork done on it, but we do have the car. It is in our possession. So Project Fiat is ready to go. All right. And when all paperwork and all that stuff gets done, we'll jump into some of the Fiat off-season videos. All right. Let's see. And for those just joining, we do have a Discord now. So the link is somewhere right there. Discord invites. So check out the link. However, I don't know how it works. So I don't know how it works. But we'll figure it out. I know a lot of people have wanted a Discord, so we do now have a Discord. Let's see. One wise guy. I love this community. Then I can make you a mod. In between the lanes, Bloomberger. Not much. What's up with you? What's up in between the lanes? Go to the link. Accept that. I'm in, says one wise guy. It's a NASCAR Championship Eve night. Yeah, for sure. So tomorrow will be the truck preview. that's just what I'll do for this. And if it's a reasonable hour, who cares? I'm just going to go on after the truck race too, probably as well. Okay, as Bain says, time to go mobile. Make sure plug the Discord. So yeah, check out the Discord if you're into the Discord stuff. I know a lot of people have wanted us to have a Discord, so we do have one up now. And thanks to Glock, you made that really easy. Says one wise guy. So yeah, appreciation to Gloctopus there. He made us the Discord. TIE fighters were hot rods, says Shy. Yeah, for sure. The TIE fighters, they were really fast. Actually, the X-Wing or whatever, I'm not a super smart Star Wars person, but like I think X-Wing was what Luke Skywalker flew in. And what was the little garbage can? R2D2? R2D2 was the co-pilot or something. I don't know. Anyway, they raced each other, and that was when he blew up the Death Star, was in the X-Wing. X-Wings were kind of clunky. Yeah, so the TIE fighter was supposed to be more agile. So I think Tyler Reddick is the TIE fighter, and the X-Wing is Bubba Wallace. I know for sure the X-Wing is Bubba Wallace because he was in the commercial with Luke Skywalker. So yeah, I do have that right. They should rotate it, says one wise guy. James Melee, hello, Baloney Burger dude. Almost done with another season. Yeah, it's crazy that the season is almost over. Star Trek over Star Wars. Mark Barnum going Star Trek over Star Wars. I've never watched Star Wars, says like dislike. It's a dense series at this point. It used to just be 3 of them. Now I feel like there's like just all kinds of them. There's fan fiction, all kinds of crazy stuff. It's got taken a life of its own. Does anybody know who the sponsor for the 4? I need a driver is. Does anybody know who the sponsor is for the 4? I need the driver is for 10. Our sponsor, says Nathan Campbell. Well, the 10 sponsor allegedly next season is going to be Bass Pro Shops. I don't know who's going to sponsor the 4 car because obviously Anheuser is going over to Trackhouse, and I think they're still going to run Busch Light over there on Trackhouse. With Ross Chastain. Blunderberger diecast alert. There is a Camaro ZL1 1LE that is celebrating Hendrick Motorsports and their 300 wins. Just like when they had 269, there's a diecast Chevrolet Camaro. So there you go. If you're into collecting diecast and you're a Hendrick fan, they have the 300 win diecast. So go check that out. Maybe should Talladega ever be the championship finale, says OJ and Toothpaste. It should they should never have a super speedway as the championship finale, but we should never have this championship system to award a champion. So I'm not going to say never. Never say never, but you never know. You never know. NASCAR is going to NASCAR. I'm a Star Wars nerd. I know way too much about it. Says Shy. Tracks that have 2 dates on the schedule. How many should stay at 2 or down to 1? I think they accept with the exception as long as Charlotte runs the Roval. I would say Charlotte, Daytona, and Talladega should be the only ones that keep 2 dates. Everybody else should go to 1 date. And the reason I say that is because if you have 1 date, you can take that other date and spread it out, spread the wealth to other regions that don't get NASCAR races, because there's still a lot of regions, states that don't have NASCAR races or a NASCAR race even close to them. So I think that would be the best idea to grow the sport. I've never watched any Star Wars completely, always bits and pieces, says one wise guy. That was another one they used to do back in the day when they had the telethons or whatever. Star Wars was a one that you could watch a telethon on. So I never watched one all the way through until I was in my probably mid-20s. So I always got bits and pieces of them in those telethons as well. Who will be Josh Berry's car for Stuart Haas, says Nathan Campbell. I don't know who's going to sponsor that car. To be totally honest with you, maybe it's a situation where Bass Pro sponsors the 4 car a little bit and then also sponsors the 10 car. Same thing with Black Rifle Coffee. I think they sponsored. I know Bass Pro has been on Josh Berry's car at least before. I don't know about Black Rifle Coffee, but I don't know. I'm sure they'll figure something out. How many miles on the Fiat? I think it was like 70,000, something like that. So not a crazy amount of miles. It is a proper POS, though. I'll tell you what, that is the worst manual transmission I've ever driven in my entire life. And I think they were rated with like 100 horsepower coming from the factory. It's got every bit of 90, it feels like. I tried to take off in second gear because that's just what I'm used to doing in a manual transmission. It doesn't have enough horsepower to do that, so you have to start off in granny gear or first gear. So that took an adjustment right there. That I was not used to that. So it's going to be a learning curve, wringing any type of speed out of this car. But I do have a pretty good idea of what I want to do. I've got a pretty good idea. I don't want to spoil the project, but I've got a pretty good idea of what we're going to do with it for a project car. Correction, I'm a fan of pre-Disney Star Wars, says Shy. So there you go. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel like that. A lot of people, we're not going to jump into that, but a lot of people don't like the Kathleen Kennedy version of Star Wars. Grant Enfinger uses Champion Power equipment. That is a fact. That is a fact. I want Kevin Harvick to win one more time, and William Byron gets the championship, says John Forrester. It would be cool if Kevin Harvick wins, and just whoever wins the championship. But if Kevin Harvick wins, that would be really dope. But yeah, there are definitely a lot of William Byron fans wanting William Byron to win it, as with the other three drivers as well. Think of Discord as the YouTube live chat on Red Bull, says Charlotte Ander. BB, this Sunday, are you going to watch the race at home with some Little Caesars and tall Mickeys, or are you going to Buffalo Wild Wings and watch the race? I'll probably just watch it at home because I feel like I need to at least do the pre or post race for all of the championship races since we're going to stream all week. So I feel like we should do that. Pit boss on Deegan's truck this weekend. Yeah, that's pretty good. I thought it was a pretty good looking truck. How do you feel about Andy apologizing? I mean, if he look, I don't have any problem with how either one of those drivers drove each other. And I also don't have a problem with Andy Petrie apologizing. I don't have a problem with what Andy Petrie said as long as he believed it in the moment. The only argument I was making at the time was I'm just glad they told the truth, because half the time when a situation like that happens, you get the PC police out there and they try to say something basically fake to appease the sponsors. So right or wrong, I'm glad that they said what they thought in the moment. I'm an original Star Wars, but him apologizing, probably the right thing to do, because he said that Sheldon Creed had a part failure, and that's why he essentially brake checked Austin Hill. So like I said, when all the smoke sells, there's a good chance 2 or 3 days later everybody's cool with it. That's short track racing. I know a lot of people don't believe me, but sometimes it's really just the way it is. And then sometimes it lingers for years and months, and like it can go both ways for sure. Mark Barnum, I saw the diecast version of Deegan's Pit Boss F-150. I'm an original Star Wars fan, but I hate the new stuff. Give me the first three, says T-Van. I was a Star Wars nerd. I did like I know everybody rags on the first one. I did like the first one because they had the Pod Racer, and then they had the Pod Racer video game. I loved playing that game as a kid. I was a Star Wars nerd. It was just oversaturated now, not special to me anymore, says Charlotte. The original three, which is what, 4, 5, and 6 is the original 3, right? So I liked Rogue One. I thought Rogue One was done pretty well. The other ones are sort of hit and miss. I know a lot of people hated the Han Solo movie. I didn't have a problem with the Han Solo movie. I thought it was decent. And then The Mandalorian, the first season of The Mandalorian was pretty good, but then that got political too. So it is what it is. T-Van, they got rid of Gina Carano or something for I don't even know why they got rid of her, but I remember it just being some controversy or something about that. Shah says, yep, agreed. So I thought those were good ones. Obviously, The Mandalorian is where Baby Yoda came from. Any truth to the rumors, Noah Gragson to the SHR 10? It sure seems to be gaining a lot of steam. I don't know if there's any truth to it or not. I don't know. But I would say, as many times as Bob Pockrass has said, Noah Gragson is probably going to be the leading candidate to go to the 10. I would say he's probably going to be in the 10. And like I said, there was a social media commercial today with Noah Gragson and Bass Pro Shops. So I'd expect the 10 to have at least some Bass Pro Shop sponsorship on it over there. The books were cool in the 80s and 90s, says Shah. BB, would you dress up like Star Trek for Halloween one day, says OJ and Toothpaste? I would put on so I don't know if you'll get this joke or not. I would put on the red shirt because I have an associate's degree in engineering, so I would have to put the red shirt on and be an engineer. So there you go. If you know, you know. Let's see. Open my question up to the chat. I'm looking for tracks possibly for 2025 on the schedule, says James. So there you go. What tracks would you like to see on the schedule that aren't on the schedule for 2025? Drop it down in the chat, and I'll try to get to all of them. I know accidentally sometimes I skip over them, but I try not to. I'd like to see BB dress up like Richard Petty next Halloween. I'd have to get some stilts because he's way taller than me, and have to get a girdle or something to suck in the gut, because I'm definitely I'm wider and shorter. So a deadly combination there. That's what everybody's looking for. The 38 race Cup season is too long. I need to go back to 32 and 33, says John Irby. I'm not going to argue one bit with you there. I do agree with that. Some people would like to see that if Phoenix is going to be a steady championship race, that they only host one date, looking for a West Coast swing tracks. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if every track just got one date, I think it would work out better, because you could spread the wealth to places that don't get races. James Melee, what are you racing? Says T Van. Tony and Johnny Morris, the ownership of Bass Pro, have been tight for years. Says Mark Warner. For sure, Tony's got a lot of. He does a lot of conservation and stuff like that, and he's got a really nice several nice properties where I'm sure Johnny Morris hangs out with him. Earth 2, they race Bristol during a snowstorm every year for sure. In the summer, there's a snowstorm at Bristol, and it's a nice race. Star Wars, the first movie I ever saw at a drive-in back in 1977. Wow, I didn't know it was that old. I thought it was from the 80s. I was 4 years old, and I still remember having I guess 1977 is pretty close to the 80s, though. I was 4 years old and still remember having my mind blown, says Shaw. So there you go. Could it be Tire Pro? I mean, Tire Pro has been pretty loyal to Josh Berry, so that wouldn't surprise me at all. I do believe Ryan Blaney is going to be the champion, says Joe Sample. He's really good there. If you remember the last race, it was really tight. There was like Kyle Larson in the middle, Ryan Blaney on the inside, and William Byron up there on the top. So if we get a finish like that for the championship, I think that would be cool. How many years for the Cole Custer deal? I have no idea. It just says he's back, so I don't know. I don't know on the Cole Custer deal. Buffalo Wild Wings, Wings Beer Sports. Yep, for sure. Buffalo Wild Wings could be a nice sponsor. I'd love to have them, because they got just if they would just give me free sauces, I'd be down for that. I'd plug them just for that. Asian Zing and Thai Curry, they're about as good as it gets. The regular hot sauce is good too. T-Van, I'm not racing. I've been a fan since the 90s. An admin 2 Facebook groups, one my own and another, and created events and shared in a total of 3 groups. So there you go. There you go. What's up, BB? What's up, Camaro 50? Good to see you, my friend. Ryan Priest and Cole Custer use Haas tools. That's a fact. That's a fact. Let's see. They should have used all the white throwback paint scheme for Kevin Harvick's last race. Yeah, so they did that one earlier this year. Maybe at Atlanta or somewhere. So yeah, they could have saved that for the last race. They also could have saved like the Pennzoil paint scheme. Like, do I have it? Can you see? Oh yeah, right there. They could have saved the Pennzoil paint scheme. That would have been pretty cool too. So they could have. There's all kinds of different directions they could have gone with on that deal. Also, the championship paint scheme, since last race in Phoenix, they could have let that be the last one. So just all kinds of stuff they could have done. But we did at least get some throwbacks. Chase Briscoe uses Magical Vacation Planner. Carano leans to the right. That was the problem, says one wise guy. Okay, so it was like legit political. So that was the rub there. James, you said you were looking for tracks to cover on your YouTube. Says T-Van, Rockingham 2025. A lot of people want Rockingham back. Star Trek, did the red shirts not get deleted every time they left the ship? So that is the red shirt joke on Star Trek. Is Riley still in the 98 for SHR next year? Yeah. He re-signed. Yeah, he re-signed with Stuart Haas. So they've got their Xfinity. It's been so much movement in the offseason. I had to think about that one hard. But yeah, so he is back with SHR in the Xfinity Series for next season. Don't leave the boat, says Shah. James Melee, cover Anderson Speedway. Anderson was a fun track. If that's what you're looking for. Circuit of the Americas, says Nathan Campbell. That would be cool, T-Van. I hope they come up with something cool for Kevin Harvick, especially at Phoenix, says John Forrester. Yeah, that would. I hope they give him a really good send-off. Like they gave Richard Petty a good full year send-off. They've done pretty well with Harvick. Jeff Gordon, they did an hour after the race ended. There was an hour broadcast about Jeff Gordon. So hopefully Kevin Harvick gets something similar. Howdy from the Great White North. Stop beating yourself up. Don't miss posts on purpose. We're all human and make mistakes. I saw Star Wars in 77. Some people cheered. I'm over it now, says Robin Marks. Yeah, so I mean, for 1977, it was it's hard to think about it like that now. It was legit groundbreaking how they made it look. Like if you look at Star Wars now, and I know it's been digitally remastered and all that stuff, but if you look at Star Wars and how they made lasers and all kinds of other stuff look just so realistic, and just even though they're just models, they legitimately look like they're flying through space. They basically invented modern special effects with that movie. So Star Wars, even if you don't like it, that's going to be its legacy going forward. Why are we talking about Star Wars? Anyway, that's going to be their legacy going forward. They literally invented modern CGI, whatever, special effects. Let's see, BB, have you ever made mashed potatoes and ran out of milk but used chocolate milk instead? I haven't, but you know what? That's something that would be maybe an off-season project. Let's see, Kyle Larson changes his engine with Valvoline along with William Byron. That's true. Hendrick used to be Quaker State. Now they are Valvoline. Star Wars was the first walk-in movie I ever saw in 1977, says Delmar Kaufman. So I might be wrong about Star Wars, but if you've ever heard the term blockbuster, that's actually, and I think it was because of Star Wars, it was the first movie where people were wrapped around a block, and that's where the term blockbuster came from. I don't know if it was Star Wars. It might have been another movie. It might have been Jaws, but I think it was either Star Wars or Jaws, but that's where the term blockbuster came from. It might have been Jaws, but I can't 100% remember. But that's what a blockbuster means. It's because people were wrapped all the way around the movie theater waiting to get in, so they called it a blockbuster. Kevin Harvick uses Mobil 1. So does Clint Boyer, and they like to have a dance off from time to time. BB, will Ted Musgrave make the Hall of Fame one day? Says OJ and Toothpaste. Earth 2, he's a stone cold lead pipe lock on Earth 2, my friend, with the Family Channel number 16. James Melee, Anderson Speedway is just outside of Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm pretty sure Mark Martin, Shredder, and a lot of others have raced there. There's also Anderson in South Carolina, so there's two different ones. I don't know if Anderson in South Carolina still runs. It might have. I have to look that one up. BB is now a Star Wars channel, says Charlotte. Absolutely not. I don't. NASCAR fans are passionate, but I really can't deal with the passion of Star Wars fans. They get in their feels quite a bit. I'm wondering if Fontana, a small track, will be ready for 2025. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what goes down with Fontana. Some people are thinking they're just going to demolish the track and just sell off all of. They've sold some of the land, but they think they're going to sell off all of the land and there'll never be a racetrack there again. Some people think it's going to be a short track. Originally, it was supposed to be a short track. That's what the plans look like that they originally drew up. So it's just Fontana is going to be something to watch for a long time. HMS, I can't find anything official about what's going on with Fontana, so no surprise there. HMS sucks, says like dislike. How do you think about what do you think about the new Ford body? Says John Forrester. It looks pretty fast, but you never know with these things. You never know. The Lamborghini Countach looked like the fastest thing on earth. They said aerodynamically it's a brick. So just eyeball looking at something without numbers, it's hard to say if it's going to be fast or not. You say whatever you want to talk about, and Star Wars is it. LOL, says Ben. So yeah, I just don't have a wealth of knowledge about Star Wars, but we'll keep it rolling if that's what y'all want to talk about. Yeah, T-Van, unfortunately, I live in Torrington, Connecticut, says James. So there you go. There's some good modified racing up there, I would imagine. Chocolate Spuds get the patent, says Michael Honeychuck. Jaws. Okay, so it was Jaws. I knew it was one or the other. So Jaws is where the term blockbuster comes from. So in spite of myself, we have learned something today. So that's where the term blockbuster comes from. Does anybody know what year Jaws was from? I could easily look it up with Google, but I'll rely on you guys because it makes it more interactive. Fridays would also be a good sponsor. Oh man, TGI Fridays used to be the bomb back in the day. And then there's like I think there's regular Fridays. Am I remembering that right? Is Fridays a different restaurant than TGI Fridays? Where we are going to Google that one because I must know. Okay, so there we go. Have found out. It used to be TGI Fridays. Now it's just Fridays. It has been rebranded by London-based design studio Someone as its ventures into the home delivery market and makes a bid to become famous again. So they're trying to become famous again. The new identity includes a name change, updated logo, as well as a new visual system for merchandise and packaging. So you can get those the sampler platter at TGI Fridays, or now just Fridays, was the bomb. You can get those potato skins and what was it? Cheese sticks, wings, and potato skins, or you could swap it for tendies. So also, not to be confused with Ruby Tuesdays. Ruby Tuesdays also had a sampler platter, and it was like every restaurant that was like that back in the day had a sampler platter. But I always preferred Ruby Tuesdays. So Tuesdays or Fridays. Maybe somebody should make a Wednesdays Adams restaurant. Make it Wednesday Adams themed and see if they can pull that off. BD, I saw a cooking video on YouTube yesterday. There was a recipe for a hot boiling pot of steamed rats with Coca-Cola. Would you ever try that? I would not try that. No need for that. I don't think that's kosher. So I don't want to break kosher for that. And no, I don't eat kosher. But if I ever was served that, I would immediately start eating kosher that day and be like, can't eat it because it's not kosher. LOL, that was at my grandmother's in Cape Cod that day that movie came out. Didn't do much swimming in the ocean that summer. Have they even started working on anything there at Fontana? They haven't started working on anything. They have started tearing stuff down. So it's led to a lot of speculation, but nothing super confirmed. They get in their feels quite a bit, says the guy with a NASCAR/motorsport channel, says Charlotte Andrews. Yeah, I mean, it's the same difference, but the Star Wars stuff seems to be a little more fervent and just never goes away. Like, it's just an endless argument over the same stuff over and over again. NASCAR, there's at least fresh stuff to argue about. Star Wars was a blockbuster. I guess every time a new Star Wars movie comes out, there's something to critique, though. Star Wars was a blockbuster, and Jaws was where the label came from. But The Exorcist was before both of them, and there were lines around the block and sold out shows. Jaws was summer, Exorcist was December. So there you go. Being a fan of both, I can confidently say both end up in their feels more often than not. I agree with you, Charlotte. I agree with you. 1975 for Jaws. It was made. It was in a theater when I was 9. Says Robin Marks. So there you go. 1975 for Jaws. There. I didn't know that was that old. I thought. Why do I think every movie from the 70s was made in the 80s? When was The Shining made? Is The Shining at least a movie that was made in the 80s? That's probably made in the 60s or something. I'm so far. Why do I think all these movies are made in the 80s? So I'm so far off on this. My spatial time recognition is awful. Let's see here. Lots of movie tidbits tonight, says Shy. Yeah, I love movies. Like, if I ever did like a second channel, I could probably fill it up with like movie stuff that just interests me. There's a lot of people that know a lot more about movies than me, but I did grow up loving movies quite a bit. BB in 2024 paint schemes. You're looking forward to seeing the most next year when they unveil them. William Byron has kind of an interesting one. They sort of teased the 24 car Exalta, and it looks like it's got flames on it again. So I'm kind of interested to see what direction they're going on in that, because it looks like it's mostly red and blue. So I want to see how it turns out. How many new potentially sponsors do you think we can get? You think we can name tonight, BB? Oh, that's up to you in between the lanes. You're the man as far as that goes. So you drop them, and I'll do the best I can to lure them in. You set the trap, and I will spring it. And we will continue to not get sponsors, but we will try. We will go down fighting. Dave Marcus used the used to rock the Olive Garden sponsor. That was actually a pretty good looking car. I like that car quite a bit. I'll tell you another underrated car, the number 13 Dan Marino car. I like that car quite a bit too. I thought Jaws was 77, but I was wrong, says T-Van. I miss Sizzler. Oh yeah, the old Weston Sizzler. That was pretty good. Best overpriced burger is at Ruby Tuesdays. Okay, so I actually never tried the burger. I was pretty boring as a kid. They had a Ruby Tuesdays in the mall that we frequented, so I always just got the sampler platter for like $9.99. You got like such a big meal for $9.99, and back then it didn't matter what I ate. I could stay 177 to 180 pounds. Like I wish I still had that metabolism. That would be lovely. Let's see here. I feel like The Shining is 1979, but probably wrong. So The Shining is at least closer to the 80s, but it looks like that's going to be in the 70s too. What does kosher mean? The answer you gave regarding the steamed rat Coca-Cola recipe. So kosher, that's a little bit of a religious thing, but it's or not a little bit. It's a serious religious thing. It's how some Jewish people choose to eat. I want to say the rules for it are in Leviticus. So if you want to check it out, if you want to wade through Leviticus, which is dense, feel free to see what kosher stuff is. But general rule of thumb is only fish with scales. It has, if it's meat, it has to have, if you're buying it in the restaurant, it'll have like a little K on it, or a package if you're buying it at the grocery store. But it has to be prepared a certain way, and there's a priest that has to pray over it. There's a lot of stuff to it, but essentially, you can eat certain meats. You can't mix meats. You can't do, like, if you're eating a hamburger, you can't put cheese on it because you can't have the milk of the mother. There's all kinds of stuff. I could go on for days about this. Yes, I used to eat kosher. No, that doesn't indicate anything about me. But it's super technical. But at the end of the day, it sounds really complicated. But the benefit of it, just like every other religion, is once you do it long enough, you get used to doing it, and you don't have to think about what you're eating. You don't have to think about what you're wearing, so on, so forth. And it just actually, even though it seems like a lot of rules, it makes your life easier, and it frees your mind up to think about other stuff. So that is the short and uneducated way of presenting it. So there you go. And I don't really want to talk about anything like that because I don't want to turn anybody off. Like, I know people don't come here for that. So, but that's my best explanation of it. Yep, it's 1980. So there you go. The Shining was actually made in 1980. OJ, I used to look forward to new paint schemes. Nowadays, it's generally disappointing, says T-Man. The other thing about new paint schemes, if you don't like the paint scheme, just wait 1 week. It'll be something different. That's an argument a lot of people have made. In between the lanes, appreciate it. BB says in between the lanes, no problem, my friend. Jaws had the creepy music to put it over the top. So yeah, I think John Williams, I think that's that guy's name. I think he did Star Wars. I think he does all Steven Spielberg stuff. So he's pretty famous for that stuff. What's up, BB? How you doing? What's with the Fiat, by the way? I met Custer before, cool guy to talk with. Cole Custer is definitely a really cool guy. You remember his commercials back in the day for Old Spice? Those were legit, man. He needs to bring back some Old Spice commercials. The Fiat, I've purchased it, so the Project Fiat is purchased, and we'll just wait a little bit before the video pops. I don't want to ruin it before we get going. I don't want to spoil it, I should say, before we get going. But all will be revealed in a series of videos. Let's see. The front fenders on the Dark Horse are flared up on the Ford promotion for NASCAR. Didn't notice that on the ones being sold to the public. I have one on order, says Delmar. So there you go, Delmar. Are you going to get the Petty Edition package put on it? Take it to Petty's Garage and get that there put on it. But yeah, it definitely looks good. Shining was filmed at Stanley Hotel in Estes Park, Colorado. I live a quarter mile from it, says Mark Barnum. That's pretty cool. They should bring back the Gillette Young Guns, says OJ and Toothpaste. Those commercials were epic. Go give BB some love and hit that like button. I get in the chat and always forget, says T-Van. So yeah, if you want to hit the like button, it would be much appreciated. Now that I've run everybody off with my kosher talk. Kosher means Rabbi blessed the food, says Robin Marks. Yeah, that's probably an easier way to just say it. But it's just a process. But even then, like, you could eat two things that are kosher and you could still break kosher. Like, you could eat kosher cheese with kosher beef, and that would be, depending on the sect, would be considered non-kosher. Why am I talking about that again? Anyway, you think Grant Enfinger goes to Spire or Nice? Bologna Burger says in between the lanes. I think those would be probably the two best options because I feel like Chevrolet wants to keep him, and he's probably going to be a truck man for life. So I feel like Chevrolet does see value in the truck series. So I would say that Chevrolet would try to keep him. Mark, is it open year round? And in the beginning of the movie, is that the only road to the hotel? I want to say that hotel, if you stay on whatever floor that is, you can purchase the package where they'll do the Shining stuff. I want to say I saw some YouTubers go to a Shining hotel. I don't know if it's the exact same one, but there is a Shining hotel that they can do it. Yes, it's a working hotel. One wise guy, says Mark Barnum. Kosher, the rabbi must be present when the cow is butchered. Some in death ritual. My local village butcher shop offers it, and that's why I know anything about it, says Shah. That's right. You are right about that. And I'm not going to describe how it's done because that's going to upset some people. That's cool. Mark says one wise guy. LS swap your Fiat, says Chrome Diesel. Maybe on down the line. Right now Right now, we got a budget to not do that, but maybe one day we can get crazy with the Cheese Whiz. 0-7 Steelers right now, says one wise guy. So the Steelers have taken the lead in the Thursday night football game. Taking the dark horse to Petty Shine for the paint protection, says Delmar. So there you go. There you go. Going to have the Petty Garage edition, or at least a little Petty Garage work done on the old Mustang. That's going to be awesome, my friend. Bring back the Gillette Young Guns, but have it be the same guys as it was in the 2000s with Kansas Edwards and the likes of Charlotte. That would be really cool. And also, like, maybe they could do like a passing of the torch, like from these young guns to now these young guns. They could do something cool like that. Room 237 says Duke Chronic. Yep. And that's where, if you've ever, it's in a lot of rap songs, but that's actually where the red rum comes from. So, or was in a lot of rap songs. Red rum is, of course, if you look it into the mirror, it says something else. Kosher dill pickles is all I know, says T-Van. That's probably the most popular one. Let's see. Mount Olive kosher dill pickles are super popular around here because I think they're made in They're made at various spots in North Carolina. I don't know. I predicted a Toyota sweep this weekend, but if Grant Enfinger wins the championship, GMS Racing goes out on a high note. Yeah. So that I have not even thought about that, but yeah, GMS Racing. I keep forgetting that because they're basically in the Cup Series as legacy. I keep forgetting that they're shutting down the truck operation. But yeah, that would be a cool way for them to go out. Just like it would be a cool way for Kevin Harvick to go out if he wins. So there's all kinds of storylines to watch. Chrome Diesel says to Jay-Z, your Fiat. Yeah, that's one thing. A lot of people have said I should K-swap it. I am sort of interested in dropping a Honda motor in there at some point if the motor I've got ever gives up. I'll tell you right now, I think it was rated at like 100. We can get the facts straight on that one. Stop being lazy and Google it. Let's see. I don't even know what year the car is. I think it's 2014. So we're going to go 2014 Fiat. Okay, so it's rated at 101 horsepower, 1.4 cylinder engine, and either a 5 or 5-speed manual. So I've got 5 speeds. So on the gear knob, the little thing is ripped off. So I don't know where reverse is at when I was driving it back to where I work, and so I didn't know where reverse was at, and I didn't know if I had 6th gear, but I knew I had 5th. So I threw it in 5th, and I was like, all right, that's all I got. It also doesn't have enough horsepower to take off, and that's why, because it's only got 100 horsepower, which at this point in its life, it's probably only got like 90. And even if you get the turbo edition, that's only 135 horsepower. So this is by far the slowest car I've ever driven. I drove at one point. At one point, I had a 1978 Toyota Tercel. They got 40 miles to a gallon with a single barrel carburetor, and I swear before God Almighty, I don't know. This is the slowest car I've ever driven. So it is going to be a challenge. It is also, it lives up to the name. It's going to live up to the Yugo Challenge, and we'll leave it at that. It looks really pretty, though. It does look really pretty. I'll give it that. So it's a good successor to the Yugo. I will say that. T-Van says, "Go Steelers." Did BB just say, "Get crazy with the Cheese Whiz"? Yep, that's from a song. If you can name that song, good for you. You're just as old as me. Robin Marks, in the book, the room is 217. Kubrick changed it, and King hates the movie, says Robin Marks. Yeah, also because he changed it to 237. They tried to throw in, like, if you're into the moon landing hoax, they try to link the 237 with the Apollo 13 mission. And when is it Jack Nicholson? Which one's the golfer? Jack Nicholson is the actor, right? So when Jack Nicholson is typing whatever on the typewriter, that's supposed to be linked. Like there's the, I don't know, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. They try to link it to a fake moon landing. BBD like Indian food, says OJ and toothpaste. I can't say that I've ever had Indian food, so I couldn't tell you. If I have, I don't know. Let's see. Kyle Busch Motorsports, last race tomorrow night, says in between lanes. Yeah, it would be cool if they could get the win too. Mount Olive, North Carolina, they have the pickle drop for New Year's, says Delmar Kaufman. Yeah, I think they've got another factory sort of as you're going toward the coast as well. But yeah, They definitely make it at Mount Olive, North Carolina, but they've got another factory in North Carolina somewhere. Chrome Diesel says VTech it. Like that's actually kind of what I'm thinking about. If it ever gets engine, I'll tell you this much: it won't be engine swapped this year because it's going to be. You'll see what the build is this year, and it'll make sense. It'll make sense when you see it. I can't wait for the 10 p.m. Eastern time Eastern Time Truck Championship race. Says Ben Kluver. Yeah, a lot of people are up in arms about that. Better restaurant, Quiznos or Jimmy John's. I liked Quiznos subs better, but it's hard to find a Quiznos now because it was mismanaged. The owners of it got super greedy, and the franchisees got screwed, and there was a huge lawsuit. They've had to file Chapter 11. So if you can find a Quiznos, they are still good sandwiches, but poorly run by the higher ups. Hayabusa swap it, says one wise guy. I have seen some. I've seen some Hayabusa motorcycle engine swaps and some other stuffs in some other cars. Deegan's last truck race before moving up to Xfinity in 2024, says in between the lanes. Yep, that's going to be another thing to follow. KBM and GMS both, says James. Yep, that's going to, if either one of them can win, that'll be a good way to send them off. I seen where Infinger has something lined up for next year. Glad to hear after GMS folds. Yep, we touched on that just a little bit earlier. Some people are saying Nice. Some people are saying some people in the chat, like I don't have any inside information on it. And some people are saying Spire. So CC's Pizza or Sbarro. Oh man, Sbarro. I actually like Sbarro, so I'm going to go CC's Pizza is the worst there. I won't lie to you. Sbarro back in the day at the airport, that was or they had one in our local mall. That was actually a pretty good slice of pizza back in the day. My Chevette was the slowest car ever, says Robbie Marks. Fiat, fix it again, Tony. That's for sure. That's what's up. Charlotte Anderson saying loser, referring to the Beck song, Soy and Pader, get crazy with the cheese whiz. There you go. Bologna Burger, I got Denny Hamlin, Shady Rays sunglasses, says in between lanes. There you go. There's been, let's see, there's Shady Rays. That's one of them. Then there was Gargoyles. That was senior. Then there was Wiley X. That was Dale Jr. Maui Jim sponsored a couple drivers, one of which was Bubba Wallace, and I think Eric Almirola as well. Oakley does a bunch of them. So, I mean, I know Kyle Larson is an Oakley guy. I think Ray-Ban was Jeff Gordon. And that's all the ones I could name off the top of my head. Toyota Tercel is pretty dang on slow, says Escobar. Yeah, especially one from the legitimate from the 70s, I want to say. Infinger deserves a good nation wide ride, says T-Van. Charlotte Ender saying I named the song for sure. I know what you're talking about. Let's see. Yeah, Infinger probably at some point deserves a cup ride, but he's probably never going to get it. He might get himself in a Ron Hornaday situation where he can drive for AJ Foyt or something like that. What's the name of the vodka that will be sponsoring Haley Deegan? Oh, I can't call it off the top of my head. I made an episode about it, so it's in that episode, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. Captain Volt with a thumbs up. Appreciate it, Captain Volt. Danny had Apollo 11 sweater on. Just saying, says Duke Chronic. Yeah. I mean, you have arguments for that moon landing being fake. You have arguments against it, but here's where I stand on it. You can argue that the footage is fake, but you can't argue that we didn't actually go to the moon, because believe it or not, there's a mirror up there, and you can shine a light, and it will shine it back to your telescope. And the other reason we know it's not fake is that there's a certain government in the land of China that does not necessarily get along with the U.S., and they have flown over the moon with some of their stuff, and they have actually shown pictures of where some of our moon stuff, some of our moon landings were. So it is official. We went to the moon. You might not believe the footage, but we have been to the moon. Now you can argue all day whether or not the footage is accurate and the footage is real, but we have been to the moon. It is a proven fact. I tell you what, there's a good TV show or a good YouTube channel called The Y-Files. So check out The Y-Files. The guy's name is AJ. He used to live in Arizona. He lives in Las Vegas now, I want to say. But he's got like it's like 1 million subscribers or something like that. It's a huge channel. But he does a really good job explaining stuff like that. But he does have one talking specifically about that deal. And I forgot what I was supposed to look up here. Got to talking. Let's see. Don't worry. Next year's Truck Champ will be 8 p.m. Yeah, they have fixed it for next year. So next year's Truck Championship will be 8 o'clock. But this year's not so much. I used to have a Quiznos in my town. If anybody remembers what I was supposed to look up, I totally forgot about it. I just had Indian food for the first time a few months ago. It was different but good, says T-Van. It's one of those things on my list that I want to try. And there's also like some version of like English Indian food that I want to try. I forget what it's called, but it's supposed to be really good. Anyone, Hendrick or JRM for me, says James. Talking about for the championship there. Give it the super fast Matt treat. It says Sunny V. So the Fiat has less horsepower than some lawnmowers. I think the Fiat has more horsepower than yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure, Sha. I think the Fiat has more horsepower than the Toyota Tercel. But I think because there weren't like airbags and all kinds of stuff in that Toyota Tercel, I think the Tercel is lighter, so it actually has a better horsepower to weight ratio. So it was actually faster. And by faster, I'm talking about like if you watch the Olympics and you watch the walking competition, that would essentially be that drag race because it would be the slowest drag race in human history. This is the slowest car I've ever driven. And this is coming from a man that got rid of a 2014 Toyota Corolla because I couldn't deal with not being able to pass somebody when they were driving too slow in front of me. I hate a slow car. So this is going to be a challenge. This is going to be a challenge to my soul. This is going to be something else here. I just discovered Zoom Zoom is no longer a Mazda commercial, says Captain Volt. That's terrible because that was one of their slogans. FedEx purple lenses on Denny Hamlin's sunglasses in between the lanes. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool that he got his own sunglass like additions. That's pretty cool too. The Ford Fiesta in the 80s was a great winter car up north, says Duke Chronic. I mean, the Ford Fiesta is one of the greatest cars of all time. If you watch rally racing, that Ford Fiesta is pretty tough. Xfinity ride, sorry, LOL, says T-Van. LOL, the land of China, says one wise guy. The Wi-Files is awesome, says Shaw. Yeah, and it's got 2.35 million subs. So if you are just now finding out about the Wi-Files, tell them I sent you over there, and they'll be like, what is Bologna Burger? So that would be funny. I think Mythbusters did a show on the moon landings too, says Sunny V. Is it Nan bread? Says one wise guy. I'm not sure. BB, what's the best Cheez-It flavor? I like the original. They had one at one time that was like either a garlic or a ranch. That was a pretty good one too. 0 to 60 in 2 minutes, says Shot. Yeah, so probably the only car I can think of that would be slower would be a Volkswagen Beetle, like the original Beetle. That would be my only guess. Indian food is strong on the curry. It will light you up. Yeah, so it is really. I do know that much. I haven't had it yet, but I do know that. Deegan Rocks Heatwave sunglasses, says Mark Barnum. That's another one. Heatwave sunglasses is for sure another one. They're sort of like it's sort of like a spoof on some of the old Oakleys. But Heatwave, but they're way cheaper than Oakleys. So they look out for you as far as that goes. BB, you ever drove a Jeep? Yep, I have. They are not built for speed, especially on the interstate. They are not, but they are still faster than what I'm driving, than the Fiat I drove today. Tang was the craze after the moon landing, says Delmar Kaufman. Yeah, I remember Tang. Tang also, when the Ghostbusters came out, Tang became popular again because there was I know it wasn't. That was High C, the Ecto Cooler. So I'm not thinking about that. But yeah, Tang was a huge deal with the moon stuff. I rolled a Jeep end over end and twice sideways and lived, says Robin Marks. I think there's a lot of people that had Jeeps that have rolled them. They're pretty easy to roll as far as that goes. It's driving me nuts what I was supposed to be looking up. I lost it just like that. Let's see. Yep, I have no idea what I was talking about. What I was fixing to look up when I was talking about that stuff. I'll tell you what we can. I had a 1970 Jeep Commando. Was it the Jeepster? That was like a Jeep car, like a cross between a car. It had like a weird transmission that was on a cable or something. It was a bizarre creature. Does 2311 eventually buy a third charter from JGR and have the numbers 1123? and 45. See, that kind of messes it up. What they really need is 01, 23, 45, and 67. They need the 67 and the 01. Otherwise, they're messing it up because you got 01, you got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That should be that's the big brain move if you're 2311. If you're 2311, you got to get the 01, the 23, the 45, and the 67. That's what I would do. But yeah, if they could get the 11, it would make sense because it is 2311. So either way you do it, it would be cool. But big brain move would be 01 and 67. If you get 2 more charters, BB8, are you excited? Are you excited for all the Burger King commercials this weekend? Says OJ and Toothpaste. I'm not super excited about it, but I'll tell you who is. Eric Jones. If you look at Eric Jones's Twitter, he is a fervent Burger King fan. He claims that they have the best fast food breakfast, and he says everybody loves Burger King, so he will not stand for Burger King slander. So Eric Jones is a Burger King man. There you go. There's another fun fact for today. I wasn't looking up Deegan's vodka, but I will because that gives me maybe that's the reset I need. You find out. So good boy vodka is the first one that popped up. Founder Alex Pratt. Yeah, that's it. It's good boy vodka. That's the name of it. So there you go. That is who is going to be the sponsor for Haley Deegan. And I'm also going to look up that Tercel horsepower. Oh yeah, 65 raging horses in the 1978 Toyota Tercel. So that is it still was faster though. I swear it was faster. I don't think that's the one I had though. So let me get 79. That's it. That's the one I had. It was even less. How is that even less? We're going to go with 65 because this says 60 horsepower here. There's no way. There is no way. But it was fast. I swear it was faster. It had to. It weighed like 5 pounds. That's the one I had. So it's either a 1980 or a 1979. It got 33 miles to a gallon allegedly, but I got 40 out of mine because I had the manual transmission. This is riveting content. I know. Jeeps are actually pretty unsafe, really. Yeah, Jeeps are one. They've got to be one of the worst of all time. Let's see here. The number 67 of Buddy Arrington. BB, they should have had 3-digit numbers allowed in Cup. That would be awesome. Suzuki Samurai was a tipper. Yeah. A lot of people will contest that, though. There was some controversy over the Suzuki Samurai. If you think pit crews are fast, search a video called World War II Willys Jeep assembled in less than 4 minutes. It's amazing and very cool. So yeah, those original Willys Jeeps. Some of them they just found some in a crate somewhere. They came in crates, so they found some OGs and people paid a good penny to have them. My son's middle name is Jeep, so I'll always have one. Says Steve Van. Hold my whopper. Says Captain Volt. Don't touch my fries. Any ideas for the Chevy car for 25 as Ford and Toyota have new bodies? I mean, they can either go with the Malibu or there's something in the pipeline that they just don't want to talk about yet, but I'm pretty sure they have a good idea of what they're going to do. I had a GMC Tracker too, flip that on the side as well. That's pretty much the same thing as a Suzuki. NASCAR still lets hard liquor sponsors, says Duke Runner. They've never really had a ban on hard liquor sponsors. Like Jack Daniels was a sponsor 2 or 3 years ago for Austin Dillon. And, of course, with Clint Boyer in the mid-2000s, they were on there. Robbie Gordon had Jim Beam. Matt Kenseth with Crown Royale. And what's one I'm leaving? Smirnoff. Smirnoff was also a Matt Kenseth deal. Let's see. LOL, Robin. I've been on my side in the Jeep Cherokee. Says T-Van. My nephew restored a 46 Willys Jeep and has done it in the Navy colors. He belongs to a group that goes to Wyoming and do some different off-roading. Rules are they have to be original restos. Says Mark Barnum. The 2000 4Runner 4x4 gets 10.5 miles per gallon. It's horrible. So yeah, that's as much as Toyota is known for the Prius, their other cars are actually awful. As far the Corolla was good too, the one I had, but like for the longest time, all their other cars were like the Camry is the Camry. It was decent, but it was never like a barn burner as far as being the best on fuel mileage. So even though they're known for the Prius, Toyota, they do not have the best fuel economy. Like their trucks, all their trucks have terrible fuel economy. So it's one of those weird one of those weird but trues. Like Toyota, known for fuel economy, but they have some of the worst. T-Van says, awesome, Mark. Jamie McMurray also had Crown Royal was also on Jamie McMurray. They also sponsored the IROC series for a while. Kligerman has spiked something. Yeah. What is that? Is it Spark? Is it spiked lemonade or spiked cider or something? I don't know. But yeah, it's a pretty good looking car. I do like the way the car looks. I'm pretty sure I get worse miles per gallon in my Jeep. Toyotas just run forever. Yeah, you like those. If you've got any version of the Tacoma, those things run forever. And then the oh man, what's that thing called? The Land Cruiser. If you've got like a real Toyota Land Cruiser, those things are because they're built for the UN. They get like 8 miles to a gallon, but they'll run forever. They're like close to 1 million mile vehicles, but it's one of the toughest things ever made. And it's because it's built for UN spec. It's what all the UN peacekeeper folks drive and stuff like that. And of course, all the what's a good way of putting this? All the bad guys seem to put turrets in the back of a 4Runner or whatever they call them over there. They call them something. They don't call it a 4Runner. It's not a 4Runner. A Tacoma. Sorry, a Tacoma. But they call them something. Oh man, what do they call them overseas? It looks like a Tacoma, but it's not. A Hilux. A Toyota Hilux is what you see a lot of the bad guys. Like, so the good guys drive a tank. The bad guys drive a Toyota Hilux. And if you're a fan of Top Gear, they had a Toyota Hilux, and they dropped it from the top of a building, a really tall building. And that Joker, even though the building collapsed and all kinds of stuff happened, that Joker right there, they still could crank it up. So the Toyota Hilux, undefeated, toughest. One of the toughest vehicles I ever built. The old the OG FJ Cruisers are pretty tough too, or big money these days, and have been restored. Yeah, so that's another. That was like sort of the UN vehicle before the UN vehicle. The FJ was up there. Fuel economy in a battery world. LOL says Ben Kluver. My 06 Tacoma TRD Sport gets 21-ish miles per gallon. I mean, that's not too bad because I'm sure you've got some decent sized tires on them. Even like from the factory, they've got pretty heavy tires on them. Both vehicles have 200K. There you go. Well, you're just breaking them in, really. Like you're just getting going. You got another 100,000 to 200,000 miles in them. The little Toyota trucks from my back in the day are my favorites. Says Shah. One wise guy. Spiked coolers. That's the name of it for sure. Hilux. So there you go. Sonny V confirming that it is the Toyota Hilux. Right on lane, says one wise guy. Let's see. The old Dodge Power Wagons are pretty bad, but yeah. So the older Dodge trucks are actually pretty amazing. Like the Walker Texas Ranger and back, except for the brakes. If you've got a manual transmission, those things will run forever. Especially if you got the Cummins diesel in the Walker Texas Ranger one. Hilux, workhorse of many, the warhorse of many countries, says one wise guy, no doubt about that. The straight 6 4.0 is an amazing motor in my opinion. Whistlehead Diesel has tested his Hilux, says T-Van. Whistlehead Diesel is a pretty good channel too if you're not familiar with that. Dodge isn't that different. They just ram people out of the way, says Captain Volt. BB, do you like when someone lifts a truck and puts a very expensive suspension kit lift with skinny tires and deep dish rims? That's not my particular style. I'm not gonna judge how anybody wants to do their thing. I'm not a big fan of the Carolina squat or the California squat, or it's called several different things. They call it the Carolina squat, I guess, around here. I'm not a big fan of that one. I know the younger kids, like back in my generation, we slammed all our trucks on the ground. I know the younger kids now hate that; they think that looks dumb. So, they'll do the stance on they'll do stance life on import cars, but they don't like it when it's on a truck. They don't want to slam a truck on the ground. So it's just interesting stuff like that. Just generational things that are just like a little bit different. You can't find a Power Wagon right now. You have to pay for them. Says Duke Chronic. Yeah, so I had one. It was like an airport vehicle. It was the 4-door cab Power Wagon, and somebody stole it. So, even if you have one, you don't really have one. Let's see, or I should say, my family had it and somebody stole it. Let's see. Truck series should race diesel engines with stacks in the back. Says Ben. Yeah, the people that don't like NASCAR for crazy reasons would have a fit. Would have a fit if that happened. Hood Track in Dallas, you see some huge trucks doing drag racing. Whopper taxes, Stranger, says Captain Volt. Turbo Diesel Truck Series, LOL, EPA will not allow that, says Chrome Diesel. Facts. I had a 1957. They race, like, if you really want to see something, they do race semi trucks. It's pretty big in Germany. I've seen it over there, and they used to do it in the United States because I saw it on the Speed Channel back in the day. I don't know if they still do it. I had a 1957 International 1-ton 4x4. I had the big 6-cylinder. The pistons in it were as big as coffee cans, says Mark Barnum. Those are pretty classic. Like anything International back in the day is hard to find. Let's see. Was it the International Cub? It looked like the Ford Bronco. Am I thinking of the right thing? International something. It sort of looked like the Ford Bronco. I think it was International. I might be totally off on it. But it's something that looks like a Toyota or a Ford Bronco. They're super hard to find, too. Mini trucks were the best, says one wise guy. Squatted trucks are the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Front jacked to the moon and rear on the ground, says Shy. Squatted. I've only owned lowrider trucks and Jeeps, says T-Van. I was watching some other car channels coverage from SEMA show and the Toyota exhibit. They had a Toyota Land Cruiser pickup modified with a Toyota NASCAR engine. I saw that too in between the lanes. It's pretty cool. It's called the FJ Bruiser. That's pretty cool. I did see that too. The Scout, International Scout. That's what it is. I appreciate you there, Mark Barnum and Duke Chronic, and Sonny V and Mitch Timms. So yeah, the International Scout. So the guy from Gas Monkey Garage with the really long beard. Yeah, it was like changing gears or something. He had a show for like one season. Adam somebody, I think's his name, and he took one of those International Scouts, and he totally put like his spin on it, and it came out as a pretty cool truck. My mom just passed now. I own a Chevy Trax, doggone clown car, says T-Van. So the old Chevy Trax doesn't get a lot of love. That's the same thing as the Buick. Is it an Encore? A Buick Encore, or what is the Buick version of it? I know the Buick version of it sells pretty good because I see a bunch of them around here. BB were the 1993 Saturn S sedans fast back in the day. Says OJ and Toothpaste. I don't know about the 1993 Saturn S, but they did have a Saturn Ion Redline, and that thing would actually rip. It had like 200 something horsepower. It's basically the same thing as a Cobalt, but those things were sleepers. They didn't look special at all, but they would rip. Let's see. Of course, nothing tops the Geo Metro, like Geo and the Geo Storm. The Geo Storm, the sportiest slow car you'll ever see in your life. 3 cylinders of absolute fury. Remember TV commercials for the Scouts and the Tonto, which was his horse's name on the Lone Ranger. Says Sonny V. I remember the Lone Ranger. I don't remember the commercials, though. Still race diesels. It's called NHDRA. Was at the Sacramento Raceway last year. So there you go. Aaron Kaufman. That's it. Aaron Kaufman. I forget what the name of the show was called, but he did a really good job on that build of the International there. Aaron Hoffman from Aaron Kaufman from Gas Monkey Garage with Richard Rawlins says in between the lanes with a V8 turbo diesel. That was I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that particular one, but I mean, if it's a diesel and it's a Toyota, it'll probably run forever. Saturn was actually pretty good. Car, says Steve. Yeah, they were great cars. They just weren't. They weren't making enough profit for General Motors. That's the only reason they got rid of them. I think part of the problem was they were built too well. Like they lasted too long. There are still Saturns from the 90s and also Geo Metros from the 90s that are still cruising around, and you can't beat them. In fact, the Toyota Corolla and the Geo Metro, which is the same car, some of the toughest cars ever built. That was actually a combination. The Toyota Corolla and the Geo Metro, later the Chevy Metro, one of the most reliable cars ever built. And then General Motors, inexplicably, Toyota made the Corolla forever, and it's sold really well. General Motors actually had a good small car and killed it off in favor of the Chevy Cavalier. So, General Motors just sucks at building small cars, even because they built one of the best ones ever and stopped making it. Jinx, you owe me a Coke Peruvian, says Shah. Talking to Mitch Timms. BB, are you going to slam your Fiat to the ground? Airbag it or coil overs, says OJ and Toothpaste. You'll see. I'm not gonna give any spoilers as to what I'm gonna do with it. I love to have an old Korea War. Some people probably already know because I probably said it on some of these other ones, but I'm not gonna say it again. I love to have an old Korea War era Power Wagon ambulances to make into a camper, says Mark Barnum. Yes, that's what it was, a two-wheel drive airport. That's basically what this was, because it had the long bed and it had the crew cab, and it was a legit crew cab. You could fit actual adults in the back of it. Aaron Kaufman, not Aaron Hoffman, my bad. I knew what you meant in between the lanes. I just assumed it was a typo. What about the Dodge Neon SRT4? Did you like those? The SRT4 was fast. They had a lot of problems. A lot of people still race them today in various motorsports, but I thought that the Dodge Neon, man, they did a really good marketing campaign on the Dodge Neon. They sold a bunch of them. It wasn't the best car, but it definitely wasn't the worst. The only problem with it now is it's hard to find parts for it, but they definitely people got well over 100,000 miles in them, which was at that time for Dodge, that was borderline amazing. I got my first ticket for a small car. Dodge was not known for their small cars, much like Chevrolet. I'll tell you another tough car, the Ford Escort. The Ford Escort, they lasted forever too. That 2.3, that's a super underrated engine for many reasons. They had other engines in those cars too, but the 2.3 would last forever. I got my first ticket in a Geo Storm, and my S10 Blazer at the time had a 305 in it, says Steve Van. That's crazy how that works. BB, what's your favorite NASCAR video game? I like Total Team Control. I think it was like 06 or something. NASCAR 06 maybe. Total Team Control. That was probably my favorite one because I could just any drafting track, I would just line up 4 cars and we would take off. Like there was no touching us. Or I would line up 3 cars at the time because Richard Childress was only 3 cars at the time. So I did them, and I would do Hendrick, and then I'd just go through the teams. Like I would do seasons with different teams, go through Roush, like just whoever. And of course, Petty had 2 or 3 cars. How many cars did Petty? Petty had 3 cars at the time, I want to say. So I would line them up. You would have to build up Petty for a couple seasons to get them up to the get their cars up to the stats. But after you got them up to the stats, you would line up the Petty cars. That was always my favorite. I would always do the Petty teams first, so I would add championships to the Petty legacy. J70 is basically an old school looking Land Cruiser, same look since the 1980s. Hyundai Tiburon, rear wheel drive Hyundai Tiburon, not to be confused with the front wheel because they made 2 of them. The rear wheel drive that Phoebe, or what was her name? Fiona from Burn Notice, the one she had. I like that one. Eagle Talon, says Captain Volt. Yeah, Eagle Talon with the all-wheel drive. That's a sleeper. You could basically make that like the green Mitsubishi and the Fast and the Furious. Those cars ripped, and it's got that good. It's got the same engine as the Evo, so you could really lean on it boost-wise. Chevy Cavalier was a pile of garbage, says OJ and Toothpaste. Yeah, and it doesn't matter which year. They still race them at South Boston in the Budweiser Hornets. Eagle Chrysler, says Captain Volt. Yep. So so that was a good one, but it was basically a Mitsubishi, and that's why the Plymouth Laser was also another one from the Chrysler group. So that was a good small car, but the rest of their small cars, even the ones that Carroll Shelby built, they did not hold up very well. I remember the Dodge Omni. My uncle, I think, had one of those, and that thing was it ran like it got him to work and back. But that was a rough little car because he had a Ford truck with a 460, I think, in it. So he needed a fuel efficient car. So he had a little Dodge Omni that he drove back and forth to work. Let's see. Remember the Honda Civic wagons from the 80s and 90s? Yeah, they're iconic. People still love those. T-Van, I have a 1991 S10 4x4, 4.35 speed. I bought new and I have it lifted. The 4.3 you can almost make run just as good as the 305 and the 350 if you build it right. I missed the land ship of the 1970s land ships. Says Shy, we used to call them land yachts. So I know what you're talking about though. You gotta plan each turn, no matter how wide the turn is. You gotta plan it. You got a lot of car to navigate there. BB, have you ever prank called people before? Says OJ and Toothpaste. I have as a kid for sure. AMC Hornet is back as a Dodge now. Says Duke Chronic. Yep, and it's a SUV, so a lot of people are not happy about that. AMX says Captain Volt. BB, do you miss Michael Waltrip commercials of him dancing to Napa Know How? I do miss the old Michael Waltrip Napa commercials. I miss the Napa commercials, period. I wish Buckshot would have had some success with the Petties. He said he just never really wanted – he was on the Dale Jr. download. He said he just never really wanted to race Cup. He said he didn't see it as anything that was fun. He was just having more fun in the Busch series at the time. So he just never was really into it. I'm jealous, Mark. I love the old square body S10s. Like, they're blowing my phone up today. I've got one of those land yachts in my garage. It's a 1970 Lincoln. Well, that's definitely one of them. Bill Blast edition. I had it up to 90 miles per hour on I-10, downhill with a tailwind near Kerrville. Says Sonny V. Wish you could post pictures in chat. I've got a switcher. It doesn't work really well with this computer. But in the future, and that's what I'm working on this off season. That's why I talked about we're going to have more live streams in the future. It's coming. It's coming. I'm going to have stuff keyed up. Remember when RPM had AJ Allmendinger, Elliott Sadler, Casey Kane, and I believe Brian Scott all on one team? I might be wrong. I think Brian Scott was on that team, but I remember having them 44, the 43, the 19, and the 4. Yep. That was right when they bought into Evernham there. Chevy Typhoon and Cyclone. Yep, those were pretty tough little trucks. I love the 4.3 and the 4.0 and the 5.0 motors. Says T-Van or GMC. Sorry, says Nathan Hill. T-Van. Yeah, the best small car Chevrolet ever made was the S10, even though it's a truck. T-Van. I had the engine rebuilt, and it has about 12,000 miles on it. Join the Discord. Says Mark. Join the Discord, Mark, says one wise guy. You can post pictures. So we do have a Discord now. For those of you who missed the very beginning of this, we do have a Discord now. So if you want to join the Discord, it is called, oh man, what is it called? Bologna something. Bologna Burger Stand. Is it Bologna Burger Stand? I think it's called Bologna Burger Stand. So you can look for that one. Or however it works. I'm still getting used to Discord. I don't know exactly how all that stuff works or navigates, but we'll get it figured out like we always do with this stuff. But it looks like we have reached the end of the chat here, so I will I've got one more. I'll read this one, and then I will jump off here. What commercial will be will we see the most this weekend? Coca-Cola, Liberty Mutual, Toyota, or BK, have it your way? Flip a coin between Toyota and BK, have it your way. I'm going to go with Toyota or BK, have it your way. Just flip a coin as to which one it is, but it's going to be one or the other. I'm leaning toward Toyota. But, yeah, that's it. It's atrocious not seeing the truck practice, says Chrome Diesel. Hit the like button, says like, dislike. There's the link. You can thank Glocknopus for that. For sure, Glocknopus set it up. So if you want to check out the Discord, if you know what that is, you're doing better than me. But we do have a Discord now, and we will figure out how to navigate that in the future. But I'll check you guys tomorrow before the Truck Series race. So same bat channel, and I guess before 10 o'clock. I'll link it up. So y'all take them easy, and peace.